Hey everybody, Josie here, and today I'm bringing you another movie review. Today's movie will be Atomic Blonde, starring Charlize Theron. Um, and this movie was directed by the same director who did the first John Wick movie. And having just recently seen John Wick, I really enjoyed that movie, and I didn't love it as much as everyone else did, but I thought it was really well done, and the action specifically was pretty much the highlight of that movie. So I was really looking forward to this movie, especially after seeing a whole bunch of the promos and on Facebook where they show Charlize training for this movie, and I was really intrigued, and I was hoping I'd get a very good action scene, and I'm gonna tell you guys, this movie did not disappoint at all. I think this is one of the best movies I've seen this year. Not the best, but it's definitely up there, and it's it's an amazing movie. Specifically, just the action scenes alone. So this movie takes place in 1989. It's during the Cold War. Takes place in Berlin, as it's pretty much right before the Berlin Wall gets torn down, and they make a point of telling you that the movie is not about the Berlin Wall. It just happens to be the setting, which honestly it could have been it could have taken place in any time period, and I find that pretty cool that usually in other movies and other films where the movie takes place in a certain time period, sometimes it can be jarring the way people are dressed, the way people talk and all that stuff. But in this one, if you didn't know it took place in this time period, you would have thought it took place in contemporary times because uh, what Charlize wears is very much modern. I think it's very modern, uh, and I think that's a pretty good way to do this because it gives it a more timeless feel. Sure, it's set in this time period, but it appeals to any time period, and I like that a lot. It's a spy movie. It felt very James Bondy at times, in a good way. In fact, I think this is a better James Bond movie than anything Daniel Craig has done, with the exception of maybe Skyfall, which I think that's the only good Daniel Craig James Bond movie. Uh, but that's beside the point. I think this was a great James Bond movie, and I loved every moment of it. Well, not every moment, and I feel like I should mention some of the flaws first. And the only real flaw with this movie is basically I feel it's a bit too long. It's hard for me to decide where I would cut, but you do feel the length, and sometimes it's a long time before anything really happens, or just a lot of exposition. And sometimes you're sitting there just waiting for our next action scenes, and when an action scene comes out, it's over pretty quick. And I feel like the fact that the action scenes are over really fast, I like that. And I'll explain it this way. The fight scenes here are very believable. Charlize, she's in. You could tell she's doing all her own stunt work and all her own choreography, and the choreography you gotta give huge props because they play to Charlize Theron's strengths. Every move she does, every takedown, every guy she beats up. There's not a moment where you feel that she can't do it. In other movies, you got like this actor or actress who are very scrawny, and then they're taking down these huge guys, and oftentimes it looks very unbelievable, and it just looks like the guys just throwing themselves, and uh, you don't get that in this movie. You feel like her character is literally kicking this guy's ass, and I like that a lot. Another cool thing that I really enjoyed was that she's not indestructible, and she does get beat up, and she's also very smart. Like in one scene, she's fighting, she takes down a few guys, but she is getting beat up, and like halfway through the fight, she realizes that she's not really gonna win that fight. So she plays it smart, and pretty much goes away, runs away, and live to fight another day. And I really like that. Makes her character way more believable. And her character, I really enjoyed her character as well. I think her performance is brilliant, and it's one of those things where she doesn't say a lot. She's pretty much a quiet character. Um, she's not mute by any means, but she's very professional at her job. You know, she's a spy. She knows what to do. She's professional, so she's not uh, talking a lot, and I really admire that. Uh, all around, I think all the performances here are very strong. There's not a single weak link. I think James McAvoy was pretty much a standout for me. He surprised me. I didn't expect to like him this much in this movie, but I did, and I think he's really great in this movie as well. Like I said, the movie is kind of long, but it's really worth it, especially when you get to pretty much the biggest set piece or the biggest action sequence in this movie. It's I don't even have words to describe it. It's amazing, and especially because it's done in one shot with no cuts, no edits, and it's you're just watching it and just like when is the camera gonna cut away? But it never does, and it's a very long scene. It reaches I'd say it's just under 10 minutes, but that's really impressive, especially because the camera's really up close. The stunt guys are the goons are being thrown pretty much at the camera, and the whole time you're thinking if the guy hits the camera, he just ruined the whole take, and we got to do it again. So it just it just makes me wonder just how crazy this must have been, and how many takes it took to get this fight sequence perfected. Because, like I said, there's no cuts, and there's times where you think the guy's gonna hit the camera, and just barely avoids it, and you feel like you're right in the middle of it, but it's done a good way. You could clearly see what's going on, because oftentimes you get shaky cam where you have no idea who's who and what's going on. Right here, it's done to great effect because, like I said, you see everything, and everything is one take. So there's none of those ugly edits that you get in a lot of action movies nowadays that make it generic. This is amazing, and that scene alone is pretty much worth the whole time you wait before there's anything that really happens. Other than that, I mean, this is an action movie, and that's what you're gonna go see. I think if you pay for this, you're gonna love it. I loved it, and it's really great. All the performances are great. The storyline is very simple. Pretty much, it's a storyline that's been done a lot in spy movies, but nonetheless, it works very well, and they use it to great effect, and they do provide some new twists and stuff to that same theme and that same storyline. So I think it's a must watch, and definitely high up there for like my favorite movies of the year. The only thing that keeps it from being like perfect is just the running time. I think it's a bit too long. Other than that, like I said, pretty flawless. Go watch it. You guys will enjoy this, and yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.